Y'all need to understand that family vloggers have a sub-niche where adoptive parents and foster parents are using social media as a gold mine. Today, these narratives feed this not-so-new business model to support another avenue for those with the most power in adoption, the parents. And while some families are better at it than others, this is a continuation of the supply and demand of a multi-billion-dollar adoption industry that is pivotal when it comes to families like the Stafers, Happily Evans After, Bella Lambert, the Doherty Dozen, and many more, where once again, adoptees are the product that the world is more than happy to consume. You need to understand that on these social media platforms like TikTok, we have influencers catering to their followers' addiction to these feel-good stories, as well as the trauma-corn aspect of saving an adorable orphan from a life of suffering. As a content creator, I'm torn with the potential demise of TikTok, and that's because these are social media platforms that cater to their followers' addiction to feel-good stories, as well as the trauma-corn aspect of saving an adorable orphan or foster child from a life of suffering. And then when you add in children with disabilities like toddler Huxley, who was adopted by the Stafers and then rehomed, it becomes instant clickbait, something I was fortunate to avoid while growing up in the early 2000s, even though I was also an international adoptee who was disabled and autistic. Meanwhile, you need to understand when adoptees like us become too difficult, there are very little resources for these families. And that leads to many struggles. But when we consider the social media platform here, we can't ignore the exploitation of children who have already experienced some degree of trauma. Now, I want to be clear. Ultimately, I think it was the safest option for Huxley to go to parents who could care for him and love him better than the Stafers. But the reality is that his story isn't unique. There are so many adoptive parents and foster parents that go and adopt children of color in particular from other countries and end up rehoming these children when reality sinks in and they realize that love is not enough and God is not enough to support them. And while many do not profit off of the children that they adopt, more and more have and continue to utilize the adoption industry as a means to complete their family and create different avenues of income off their new adoption needs across socials like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these apps.